Jay gets back, she's gonna be like, I told you. Wait, 95? What did we miss over here? Oh. Oh, was it just not? For all these fun games. I sure hope no one comes in here and be like, ah, yeah, Mushishi. Like, here you go. Highs and low. I think it is. Atari 5200 late in 82, 5 years after the launch. Atari finally released a next generation game, which is called the Atari 5200. That is roughly equivalent to that issue Atari. Largely similar to the computer. Does that have Roger? Wait, no, probably not, right? I know getting Pac. Look at this remote. Did.
The 5200 was a tragedy. The 5200 was a tragedy. The 5200 was a good idea gone horribly wrong.
The big problem that we had at Atari, the thing that killed the industry more than any other one thing, even more possibly than the E.T. video game, is that it was the first product life cycle. No one had ever been through a major success video game console life cycle. So where does it end? Nowadays, when somebody comes out with a new system, they already are designing the next system because they know the life of a system. They know a console is good for a certain number of years, and then it's going to die, it's going to fall off, and that's when we need to be ready and prepared to come in with the new system. Holy crap, you know, our first machine is finally falling off the cliff. We need something. We have something. We can take the 800, 400, 800 computer, repackages the 5200, and spit it out, and we can do it.
So the 5200 was basically what the 400, 800 was going to be 3 years before. It's a tough business. Business is cruel. And you know, like I say, I'll say it again, it was the first time anything was being done. No one knew.
And what happened was the Atari 5200, it grew very large because marketing wanted perceived value, so bigger was better in some respects. And then marketing got really focused on the Intellivision, and Intellivisions had a bunch of buttons. They had a keypad, and they had this disc with 12 distinct regions. And so, hey, if we put an analog stick here, and one that doesn't self-center was the great idea, this will be a better marketing message than the Intellivision controller. And of course, it was a horrible experience. The company lost focus on what was important, and it was gameplay's important. You know, good games sell, bad games don't. If you've got a bad control mechanism, doesn't matter how good the graphics are. It's not going to be fun to play.
Now what do you do? So, and that was the thing. Engineering we really wanted to do something cool, right? We wanted to do like a real next generation because the 400-800 was already last generation.
The engineering team and the creative team, the game designers, we were so upset, and we all felt that we were making a wrong decision with this controller, that we put together a petition to upper management. And we just explained that, you know, this is a great product, the control is lacking, we've got some other alternatives we want you to see, and my name's number 3 on the list of the petitioners.
See, I wasn't someone who signed petitions so much as talked to people behind the scenes, because I always felt that was more like the way you operate in a corporation. And but I definitely put the word out whenever I could that, like, you know, this is something we either should have done a few years ago or, you know, can't really do now.
We told marketing, hey, we could make this 2600 compatible. They didn't want anything to do with that. They said they must be very separate and distinct. We can't have backwards compatibility, which at the time we thought might be a great feature. It's a good way to get people that have these Atari games already and keep them on the Atari platform instead of giving them an opportunity to jump to another platform. And so we designed the product specifically so that you could never have 2600 compatibility. About 2 months before launch, they demanded 2600 compatibility. And at that time, we had to build an adapter. And then we actually had to modify consoles that were already made, the first ones, to work with this adapter. And we called this thing the piggyback parasite. We were just horribly embarrassed by that situation. That never should have happened.
There was some big time denial, you know, around Atari, because nobody wants their parade rained on. And when it's the best parade you've ever imagined in your life, nobody wants to see a cloud. You just don't want to see it. So we didn't.
Plug it in. Came with a copy of Super Breakout. It was a slide of a... Oh geez, Wafidi. Let's do this in a breakout. Whoa. Breakout. Aren't you glad you upgraded? Got breakout. Trackball compatible. play this version of Missile. That Missile Command, like, what is it? Story game came out, right? People like that? Really hear talk about. I'm so mad they announced a new Bubsy and it's made by like an actual developer and not like, haha, here's a fucking, here's your joke Bubsy. Consider the killer app definitive version of Space Raiders. So I like the art on here. Oh. This is cool, the setup they have. This is neat. Turned on. Wait, I've been doing the app view? How do I? Oh man, I love this guy. Enhanced and even without these bells and whistles, that's pretty neat. $5,200 and then $600. Well, who's this like demon man who's shooting the centipede? Oh yeah, this is like bare as fuck. I mean, it is centipede. Second of the fours, this program by Top Fire, like Earthworld, is considered an interactive puzzle that is only the. Ah, yeah, look at this. Give me the goblet. There's the goblet. It's your last chance to get the goblet. I remember that. second comic on the way to horse butt. I mean, I don't know. I'm afraid it would have some sort of poison in the goblet. This is very menacing. Request Fire World Quadrant designed by Steve. Voice synthesis. Mail order a mail order? Mail order only game? Rescue the little runts. Quadrant. Goons? Ah! Quadrant. Quad. Quadrant. What is the one thing we can do? Quadrant. Real sports soccer. More realistic. Sure is realistic. I mean, yeah. They're people at least. That play soccer. Oh yeah, feel the goal. Taste the juice. Tennis. '83. Tennis. This isn't bad. I mean, it's smooth. And understand what the characters are. Yeah, another player. Yeah, you could do worse. Oh, Okay, so this game wasn't even released. Prototype of basketball. Okay, the crash.
When you have a tragedy, and I do believe that the fall of the video game industry in the early 80s was a tragedy. It was a tragedy to many, many people. It changed a lot of lives.
I think it's pretty obvious when it comes to the video game crash
Oh God,
that Atari
Cliff
didn't have
Zinzi
control
scare.
over the quality.
I mean, it needed some sort of way to keep just anybody from writing cartridges for it.
So many people saw this video game gold rush, and they just, started dumping crap. I remember going into KB toy stores and just seeing, really bad box art and just really just terrible looking games. And that's when I started losing interest, and the market became flooded just with garbage. And it ultimately led to, of course, things like E.T. being, actually buried in the desert like garbage.
And what happened was that E.T. became the face of the crash of the video game industry, and I, of course, was the butt behind the face. That's kind of the way it went.
Greed and hubris, that's what undid Atari. If they just had worked more from a place of focusing on making great games and delivering great games to the customer instead of how can we maximize revenue, I feel like they'd still be a huge powerhouse today.
Frankly, Warner did not understand technology. They didn't understand the consumer marketplace, the video game, and Ray Kassar, I think was afraid of releasing new product because it might not be as successful as VCS.
Yeah,
so that's a sure way to fail.
Some of the people invited are you really do have anything
by
to do with
84 that would have made it so that Atari continued to be a really viable business.
We never, ever got down to ever having any process by which we could come up with a better system.
Even to this day, I think people do believe that if they had just released the 5200 earlier, or if they released the 7800, or they had done different things, they would could never have they would have survived the crash a lot better, and they would be a powerhouse today. As a kid, I didn't know much about business, but I just felt like something was wrong.
No one knew anything. Certainly no one knew how to replace an existing console with a new one.
The real one-liner about why the game industry crashed and went away is that it was a first product life cycle and nobody knew what to do.
barrel. Tiger Vision. Binary, starring Bounty Bob. Sears Video Arcade. Atari has started to make Bounty fucking Minor 49er shirts, by the way, which I believe is only for a few select people like Jeff Gerson. 1 second, dog wants in. Oh yeah. Well, yeah, they were just buying games, but there he is, the miner. Oh, that's a slide. Yeah, this version of him is very cute looking. In a way, this is just kind of like Chutes and Ladders, except with a disgusting miner man. Movements, like normally that sound would get annoying to me, but like, oh fuck, right, the slide. Anyways. Saboteur. Atari designer, our final game would have been a shooter called. Left the company before it was completed and was nearly finished prototype. Okay. God, I did it again. Saboteur. Save Gorfins. Save Gorfins. It was very arcadey. Yeah, this is very like straightforward. version of the Gravatar, loses the vector graphics. I mean, losing the vector graphics is a big... Oh, and also this... Is there sold exclusive mail-in service? Prize fit for the king for Waterworld. Or comic. Man, somebody has this. So funny, like this big contest and then oh yeah. Stop touching me! Crazy. Weird they would show how to... It's insane. Like, imagine a company today to tell you to open up the controller to rewire it for left hands. Although that looks a lot like it's pretty... The powerful millipede. Okay, so we have the released game for the 2600. That looks like it just explodes into a blood cloud. Let's try this unreleased one. Okay, this looks more like proper. I guess that makes sense because, you know, it has a computer hardware. I don't know if I ever got deep into Millipede. Centipede, though. Crystal castles. Yeah, how did you... Oh man, they tried. Holy shit. they tried. Warner sold Atari's home and computer to Jack Tramiel, the former CEO of Commodore, in 1984. Tramiel laid off most of the staff, slimming Atari down, considering to focus on a new generation of home computers, not video games. I knew I wasn't going to be able to keep Atari, and a little while later, a layoff package came in, and that was one of the saddest moments when I powered God, designer of Yars' Revenge. Yeah, I am happy they're adding DLC for what, Namco ports? Like that terrible fucking... Like, I like arcade games, you know, in short bursts, but also they're like... It's very difficult because, like, the best way to play some of the arcade games is to be at an actual arcade machine. Like, having the real machine in front of you is different than, you know, just playing it through a emulator. I mean, some games hold up on their own. Yeah. Bounty Bob Strikes Back. Super special offer, freed a war-winning cartridge. Bounty Bob is back. Big 5 Software. The rarest games on the system. So, Bounty Bob got an upgrade. He looks like this now. He also got... Oh god, Bounty Bob! He got disintegrated. Yeah, he can't, he takes fault, he dies like, bunker. This is actually pretty... I mean, besides me sucking at playing video games, I think this is alright. This is definitely... You know, Bounty Bob, I think he's got it. If I don't touch them. If I touch them, they disintegrate me. The Atari 7800 are really meant to be released. The next generation was put in ice until the video game market started to make a comeback in '86. In addition to, it was fully backwards compatible. Look at that big knob. Small joke. You could screw it in, and this was all asteroids. was another version of it. Asteroids, but 7800. I like the colored balls, that's cool. Yeah, because, like, it's nice that as a new version of this. Like, this looks almost similar. Actually, oh, is no one wanted to. Wait, 76 Junior. In addition, Atari rolled out a smaller budget price revision of the 26, retailing for it was a very affordable. And they put out more games. Yeah. That's very funny. They just like took it, but look, it's a slim. That's very funny. They made this junior system, and then we're like, and here's more 2600. Oh yeah. Holy shit. Whoa! This is a crazy 2600 game. Wow, no kidding. Kind of flashing, but yeah, that is fucking crazy. Boxing. Well, this is less oppressive. Compared to what we just saw. Boxing, and then Atari co-founder, one of the games. So like how it has his face on it. Atari Advantage. Man, Bushnell's just on this. That's so funny. I'm excited to get the best-selling video game of all time. Oh god! It's a number muncher! Oh yeah. Yeah, his investment in Charles Atari. Yeah, I guess that is true with Feedy.
There's this funny time period in the history of, if I wrote a book on the history of the video game industry, there's this funny time period where we had left Activision and we went from this fabulous AAA office complex, beautiful. We had more space than we needed by a factor of 5, and we went to the most horrible office in Midland Park, New Jersey, in the basement of an optician's office. Game industry, this was after the crash. Game industry was a disaster. And it was just, oh man, what an office. It was horrible. But we survived in it. I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do. So anyway, we're in this horrible office, and we're doing C64 stuff at that point. And I get a call from a buddy of mine. Actually, he was our part-time sales guy, and he always visited Toys R Us, and he knew them really well. He called me and said, you know, you're gonna laugh, but they want to know if anybody's doing 2600 games. Because at that point, there were none. Nobody was doing them.
But there were 26 million consoles in homes.
And people were going in Toys R Us saying, why don't you sell games for my Atari anymore? So I said, wow, that's interesting. How many would he buy if he had a 2600 game? He said, oh, you know, 20, 30,000 pieces probably. And I said, all right, I'll get back to you. So we did Title Match Wrestling and Super Skateboarding, first 2 titles. I mean, regular skateboarding, first 2 titles. And he loved them, and they sold like crazy. And at that point in time, we were the only people in the world making games on the Atari 2600. My phone rings, and it's the Tramiels. So he did some 2600 games. You know, do a couple for us, because word got around. There's actually a need. And then Activision calls and says, do some 2600 games for us? And I said, well, why don't you guys just do them? He goes, well, you know, if I could be completely honest with you, we don't have anything. We don't have the specs, we don't have manuals, we don't have the equipment. He said, we couldn't make a 2600 game if we wanted to. So could you make something for us? I tell people that, they're like, who the hell wanted 2600 games? You know what? No one told consumers that there had been a crash. No one went to their house and said, you don't like video games anymore. Because that's what Toys R Us and Walmart said. People don't like video games anymore. But the people at home were sitting going, God damn, I'm tired of combat. Isn't there something else I can play on this machine? So it was good. We had a great run there. We had a lot of money off those games.
It must be very funny to get like a call and be like, hey, this old system, you want to make games? Oh yeah, Hatsune Miku was a cop. I went to... Based on the Dark Chambers with multiplayer. Oh look what got added at the back. What an interesting sticker to be added to the back of this Atari box. Maybe Commodore, I probably should. Oh, Gauntlet-like. Ghost rats! Ghost rats protect cheese! Oh, this one doesn't have the winners don't do drugs. This one allows for drugs. Oh, yeah, this is... Well, they tried, I guess. The Grim Reaper's here. The dawn of PCs. Starting in 1970, the personal computer began to carve out its own place. Family home, and for millions the first was a familiar one, Atari. There's 8 hit machines dubbed Atari 400, Atari 800. A synopsis of American history. It's happy science fiction, but as microtech rocketed forward in the 70s, Atari was able to create that connect television. Suddenly, the dream of home. That was. I look at that keyboard and feel sick. Membrane keyboard. Ugh. Ugh. I need a mechanical. You fighting the army guy for that one news. Otherwise, which way? But otherwise, my typing a laborious chore. Yeah. Oh shit. Educator, and you can have an Atari tape player.
How's business?
Morning.
Terrific. How do you keep track of your customers?
My Atari 400 home computer. Excuse me, Dad.
Why Atari?
Shopped around. It's a lot of computing capability for such a low price.
You use it a lot?
Sure, life's not all fun and games. There's homework, I even program. Atari has lots of software, not all the others do. And of course, only Atari has games like Centipede.
Games?
Well, we executives have to unwind.
Atari home computers. Only Atari puts so much in it for you.
Thank you, Allison. Full stroke script keyboard. Although it included a second cartridge slot out for a monitor, the ability. Allison's other guys. Okay, they at least changed to a proper keyboard. The Atari button. Oh, I love to... You're playing Atari with your lamp? Why is your lamp like just pointed at a plant?
Bought a home computer, huh?
An Atari 800 home computer. Nothing but the best for my son.
Why Atari?
Atari makes computers that, seem friendly, part of the family.
Want to show off?
Sure, they're real easy. Terrific software, huh?
Nice graphics.
And how do you like this for sound capability?
Impressive.
It sure is.
So what's his first project?
Soon, the alphabet. A is for airplane.
Atari home computers. Only Atari puts so much in it for you.
Thanks, Atari.
I think the Atari 400, 800 were really the first home computers that I felt like were designed to be in somebody's home and for an average person to utilize.
Atari, made some interesting decisions over the years. I mean, they were #1 in the world in making video games, but they saw home computers were coming. And Apple II was out, and they said, we got to compete with Apple for, computers. So it came down from on high that we were going to make a computer like the Apple II, but better in some way. But the engineering department said, hey, we're video game people. Why are we doing this? But they were told, you will do this. So what actually happened was the engineers made the Atari 800 into the next best video game player. It had all the sprite capability, it had coprocessors in there. The first GPU in a computer was probably in the Atari 800. All of this stuff was going on in the engineering department, and yet the management thought we were making a computer. We were really just making a video game that we could make cool games on.
My participation was mainly on the prototype pre-production side. We had this very sophisticated, allegedly sophisticated, internal interactive test system called the PIT system that we couldn't get a single unit to pass. Labor Day 1979, can you guys work overtime over the weekend? We need to hand build some production units because we need to put them complete through the entire process. They need to be completely finished, consumer product in the box. We need these for J.C. Penney's so that they can make the holiday catalog. So we worked, I actually didn't leave Atari for about 3 days, hand building these units. And it was like 4 400s and 4 800s to ship on Monday to J.C. Penney's. They received them at their warehouse, they took pictures of them for the catalog, and then they immediately shipped them back to us. That was it. That's what we needed to do to get this product out.
My main contribution to the Atari 800 operating system, I created a language similar to PostScript that could draw lines and squares and circles and vector graphics drawn into the bitmap of the Atari 800 and put them into the operating system so that I didn't have to put it in any of my games. So I could borrow from the operating system stuff that I'd put in there and use it when making games. So yes, we were tasked with working on the operating system, but we did it our way. We did it in the video game method.
The idea came up that maybe I could get one of these machines for Christmas, and I thought I was going to get an Apple II because that was what I had at school and
the machines he has in the bag.
But I got an Atari, and it was an Atari 800 with a tape cassette drive, at first I was like, oh, it's not an Apple, but it's my own computer. It's super exciting. And then the more I got into it, the more I realized it was so much better than the Apple. Probably piss off some Apple people, but it was really an amazing machine. I mean, the graphics and sound on it were incredible, and it was a super fun machine to program. And so that was really what got me started.
Yeah, marketing is like, oh, this isn't a gaming device. Meanwhile, the people Oh man, that's good cover art. Like that weird pyramid thing.
We had access to the 800, 400, pre-production models for probably a good year before they ever hit the marketplace. And I would literally every weekend check out an Atari 800 and prototype
Oh, he
Star
left
Raiders
after Halo.
and spend the entire weekend playing Star Raiders.
That
It
was just the TIE Fighter.
Absolutely phenomenal. I couldn't get enough of it.
One of my favorite games in the 800. I really liked Star Raiders. I still play that today. I still bring up my Atari 800 and play that occasionally.
Star Raiders was the killer app. Star Raiders was to the 800 what Halo was to the Xbox. It was the game. You really, pretty much everyone bought it with the system. It was the system seller.
It was very well done. It had a lot of depth. It was easy. It had easy modes where people could get through it, and you could work up to the harder modes. And the harder modes just made things a little more difficult. They didn't penalize you for getting good at the game. So,
what did I do with my 800? And I actually did buy an Atari 800 in the company store, and I paid full price for it, full employee price. And I played Star Raiders because that's what you did on the Atari 800. There was a lot of great stuff about storing recipes and doing this and learning things. And I did go through some of the learning things, but I played the living daylights out of Star Raiders, which was, I think, probably for a couple of years, the most phenomenal game you could play outside of an arcade.
It's very funny, this is just called the Atari 83 when it is a phone modem.
Atari brings the computer age home.
Okay, Ma, what's the capital of Nebraska? Come on, I'm trying.
Atari home computers can teach you or reach you with important information anytime, day or night.
I already checked the computer. The Bears lost.
How about the Lions?
Oh, you owe me on that too.
And if your jump shot is a little off, we can help you there too.
Hey guys, how about a deal? The car tonight for Atari basketball.
No.
In fact, there's no end to your possibilities with Atari home computers. They're easy to use and afford. But best of all, they just might be the wisest investment you'll ever make.
Watch this. Hey, Mom. What's the capital of Delaware?
Dover.
I told you she's smart.
Atari home computers. We've brought the computer age home.
Welcome to the computer. It's home. Atari Pro APX, a division that would publish and sell. Oh, huh. They had like some sort of fan. Automod hated looks like girls? What? one thing I miss is like amazing cover art like
These
that.
families are learning about home computers. The family with the Atari home computer is learning
Spanish, German,
French.
Italian.
the other.
No foreign languages.
The Atari family is learning
3 programs teach us to program.
the other.
We've only one.
And while the Atari family learns to play Centipede Star Raiders and soon,
E.T.
the other learns
I made a mistake.
over 1,000 programs featuring the world's most popular games, but some
Yeah.
only with Atari.
That kid's gonna be learning how to play E.T. Oh. 49er back at it again. The children yearn for the mines. It'll blow your mind. Learning his own Juggles house. Juggle is wanted in 52 states. My first outfit, Juggles Rainbow. Yeah, get that metallic XL tie price. It was also roughly identical. The 800 XL in particular was Atari's best all time. Alan Anda to endorse the Who is that? He's not like the MASH guy, right? Constantly fighting those games. Get out. Wow, like, oh, Apple II? Right before one of Ash. Hard asses. Coming. Again, Bounty Strikes Back is here. Atari ST introduced the Based on the Motorola embraces the new concept of graphical user interface, or GUI. So this just looks like a normal keyboard almost. File view floppy. Atari also gave including a low price XE. Oh, I see Wafidi. Now the Atari had gotten one more. It turns a new line of game cards. And this looks like a child's toy compared to the other stuff. Yeah, like big mint colored buttons. Atari blaster. Boy, a portive food. Okay. Very Porky Pig act. Jackster having just after it long. Jackster was focused on defeating his former company. It was Apple computers that ended up being the most popular. Welcome to Atari Business System. Your portfolio. It famously appeared in the film Terminator 2. Final computer was the Falcon 30 machine. Only produced for a year, and today is created in 2007 by Yopoi is an action game which is weird, so they put this yeah. Ready to yoop. crazy. Yeah, this does have Krakatoa. He loves Underfurt. Well, that's neat. Well, it's time to, finally, it's time to do the math. The most powerful game system in the world. Pair of deadly Beoynd lead. Backstairs looking at how the piece Atari fellow be able to compete with the IBM market. Wouldn't be able to. We're almost in a room with Jack, and Jack saying to Ella, let's go back to our roots. Let's do one more game system. There it is. And it launched with the Lynx, the first prototype with color LCD. It was designed so that it sold for $179. Yep, there's the Atari Lynx.
There were so many things near the end of my early days with Atari that I wished, like everything we felt was underappreciated. Like I bought a Lynx and I was trying to find people to play the Lynx with me, and everyone else had a Game Boy, and I was like, you guys, Todd's Slime World, let's do this, let's play Warbirds, come on.
And the Lynx was totally Sam's baby. He loved the notion of the hardware, and Sam, man, he loved the Lynx into the ground, right? Against all odds, he wanted to make it successful. We did the original one that was sort of the original design, and then he was like, no, we got to double down on it and do it and make it better.
Being in the Bay Area, you see these ads, come test video games. So I think I tried out at a few places. Electronic Arts comes to mind. Didn't get the job there, but was lucky enough to
He has a Bubsy back there. He has a Jaguar copy of Bubsy. Back in the day, I think it was a lot more fun. People playing 4 Lynx games and then having them all go out of sync and then having to track that down. Like, probably at the 1,000th time that happens, it does get a little old. But I think back in the day, you actually got a lot more input into the games. So a lot of the last Lynx games like Lemmings and some of the early Jaguar games like Cybermorph, the QA department actually got a lot of input into those games from a design perspective. You know what? I think the Lynx was great hardware. I like the fact that it was color. And I think the fact that you could have this like 4-way local multiplayer was great.
20 some years later, here I am buying a Lynx with a RGB output because people are still modding them, and selling them on eBay and stuff, right?
At the time, Game Boy. What? Was a super graphic, full color, high power, portable video game system. Game's over, Game Boy. California Games. Thanks to it, Ninja Golf finally answered the question. Ninja Trinity, you are finally ready for the most difficult test of all. Big Frog! Most of the Link's library is from them. Very silly. Basketball rage. Basket brawl. Oh, this is crunchy. Holy shit, this is crunchy. Is someone throwing ninja stars? Born to dribble. Forced to come. Fail run. 12 after Atari, its last game? Run. Program. That oil really messed up my car. Sega Gen. Imagine being the person who fatal run for the 28. Oh, this is different. Bad. Or tell what's happening in this. I just realized all this is happening and lasers and stuff in the background suddenly is like the shadow of the Grim Reaper. He's like, yes, kill cause. I'd scrapyard dog with this guy. Oh, this is penis music. Look at that cool rat. I like that cool rat. Yeah. Oh, this design is totally fucking different. This is way better too. Look how... Oh, this art style kind of reminds me of those like Red Bull commercials. Oh, there it is. It's back on. Winners don't use drugs. I like this photo. Oh no, an evil dog took my dog. Man, that's a fucking gay rat. Look at that gay rat. That rat's gay as shit. Gay rat wedding. I already like how much better this one looks. Yeah, that seems like a better idea than the other one. More colorful. Has more defined gay rats. I just got shot to death by a dog. Yeah. Oh shit! Like, it actually had AI to dodge the... I like that better. There it is. Sales of Atari lights were not what they hoped. The spring of 1999 took a multi-product approach to get things to energy budget price. Free game as a bonus. Lots of great games. Miss Pac-Man. Turbo Sub. Oh, whoa. Yeah, that is cool. Dive underwater. Neat. Arcade of the... oh, it's based on an arcade game. Only released 2 games before going out of business. Oh, it's 6 years after the arcade original. The Atari Lynx version of basketball. Coming from that other game where it was very impressive to this is like a little saddening. Link's price drops again. Atari began to wind down support as it wrapped to launch a new home console. It lowered the price. Game Gear. Suck a Game Gear. Put your mind to the edge with the power of Atari Lynx. I think he's playing he's playing the Dracula game. Now here comes the Jaguar. Atari advertised as the world's first 60-bit gaming system in an attempt to leapfrog. Use cartridges rather than, throwbacks. Include the number pad. Some games. Yeah, this fucking wild ass controller. It was actually powered by 2 nicknamed Tom and Jerry. Oh yeah, I love living the Jaguar life. I love having my I see Gizmo from the Gremlins over there on your toolbox, but North. Now, real gaming hours.
Good luck.
The buttons.
Avoid the ground. Avoid the ground.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Avoid the ground.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, I'm not good at controlling the ship.
Good work.
Polymorph. A sequel, Battlemorph, was... Oh yeah, here's the overlay. Oh yeah, Trevor McFur! None of the two games are along. Trevor McFur. Orville McFur, this is Gerald Patton. Then the game is this. Unfortunately. I never played the Wing Commanders, no. So yeah, unfortunately this game is a crappy looking shooter. Next up is Dino Dude. A game I don't really like, but you'll see why. So this is a weird, like, I guess it's kind of like that Atari 50 game where you place pull and Malibu Bikini. Oh wait, we're back to the links. Malibu Beach Volleyball, and they were now it's bikini. Come on, you want your sexy bikini girls? You never want to meet the guy who was like jerking off to the Atari Lynx lady.
Cool.
We're chewing up the competition. Look, they have Checkered Flag and Trevor McFur and Raiden and Tiny Toons. That come out? Lynx kicks their butts. It has the Game Pro, as seen a Game Pro. Great, yeah. But Game Gear, but. And 3D graphics real enough to blow chunks. You've been warned. Oh yeah. Okay, now it's time for a real game by Llamasoft. Hell yeah. Now here's a game. You're getting an Atari Jaguar. This is what you want. Apparently VR support is coming to Atari iRobot, so that's gonna cheat electric death. Yeah, this is Tempest 2000. It's a great game. Me, when I meet a new non-binary person, them. Drive Love. One of the first games in ambitious. World Drug. Like the Powerballs. Oh. Oh, it's Pong. Driving to the toilet. Thing? Predator. Rayman. That's right. First place to play Rayman was here. iWire CD. Be the price. Yeah, you can play Battle Morph. Highlander. Hell yeah, Highlander. Virtual Light Machine. Demolition Man. Get a CD now. Finally on Super Asteroids and... Okay, so this... It's funny that this would be the final... Feels like something that would have been... I might have played Brain Dead 13 Halloween screens. I know I have like played. About the elephant in the picture. Oh, thank you, Bad Game Hall of Fame, for the raid. Probably not gonna go too much longer. Here we go. Yeah, I was playing Mushishi and then it became Atari 50 and now we're on the... Oh yeah, the Atari Pro controller. Oh god, one of those 100 games. That's not the one that has Pingus in it, right? That might be for the PS. One of those collection, the exact one. Oh, great. The first game is Pingus. That's great. For those who don't know, yeah, that collection, their first game is Pingus.
Mark at 5, 4, 3, 2. Current status, DEFCON 5.
Hey, it's pinball. And, you know, a pretty good pinball game, not super crazy. I'll always be thankful for this collection because it allowed me to play Highlander all the way through. Like how it has both of these. That is cool. Oh man. Come to the Atari Jaguar booth. We'll kick your ass. Please buy our system. The R, oh god. Yeah, imagine how... Oh yeah, so yeah, I guess the idea would to, you know, play this in VR. But yeah, there's like different modes. 3D, I believe you can just... Oh yeah. And Bentley, everyone's here. It's like Super Smash Brothers. Also, the music in this is pretty... Yeah, we got just Scully, Pimpo, Mistress, Bentley Bear, Volky, Silver again. So this is like Mario Kart-esque if Mario Kart wasn't very good. Which some argue Mario Kart is not good. This is far be it from one of the worst. Penelope Pit Stop. Yeah, there are far worse kart racers out there. And at least the music, like, this music sounds like Krakatoa music, positively. Final game. Time Bocon did not take. Oh, this game sucks. Where is he? There's Mr. G. On Jenny. There he is. It's him. It's Pog. I don't know if there's a kart racer worse than Fine Bocon. That's pretty bad. Like maybe Action Girls Racing. That's awful, but I don't know. I'm Bocon a Go-Go. It's like so fucking bad. Scummy card. This is a pretty bad fighting game. Can the Pogger defeat Mr. G in this battle for fighting supremacy?
Thank you.
Thank you. But yeah, we didn't do.
I remember sitting in the room with Jack, and Jack saying to all of us, let's go back to our roots. Let's do at least one more game system.
The controller is quirky. The industrial design of both the CD and the main unit are quirky. And the fact that, like, I guess somebody used the tooling on the main unit to make some kind of dental device. Like, it just has like this weird quirky history that I think is also inviting.
One of the most interesting things about the architecture of Jaguar was this notion of having
I've played them in the sense
the Motorola 68000, which basically was responsible for booting and housekeeping, and then the Tom and Jerry chips.
I mean, I think at the time, 68000 was still a strong processor, but obviously it was in the Genesis and other things. So you weren't really getting that true 64-bit experience. But I think there's games out there that took advantage.
There's so many features in Jaguar that for a developer like Jeff Minter that did Tempest 2000 for Jaguar was like, wow, give me this.
I would say other than Cybermorph, it did not necessarily feel like that quantum leap that we were promised. It wasn't the flying cars, as they say, that we would have in the future, but you could see the potential, and that's what was really cool. You could see the parts of Cybermorph. You're like, oh, fully 3D world compared to something like maybe a Star Fox, which was on rails.
My perspective is the rule of thirds, where if you want to wind up with one really, really great game, you need to lay down 9 bets, because out of those 9, 1/3 probably will ship. And out of those 3 games, one is going to be a hit, the other will be, and the other probably might be a dinger.
I have played actual
there just wasn't enough momentum behind the Jaguar at that time to be able to do that when Sega and Nintendo were basically already on their third and a half generation of consoles, at those times.
I mean, if Aliens vs. Predator came out as a launch title, maybe the history of the Atari Jaguar might have been slightly different. I think there are a lot more Jaguar fans today than there were when the system actually came out, and it's cool to see people enjoying the system some 20-odd years later. I believe everybody appreciated the innovative aspect, but on the other hand, the software was late, some of it was a little janky. But I think just saying, time heals all wounds, to go onto the Jaguar forums now and look at the love for the system, honestly, like somebody that worked on it, I can't say that I completely understand it, but I totally appreciate it. I'm like, where were you guys like 20 or 30 years ago? Like you would have made my life like a heck of a lot better.
This collection should have had the beginning Atari. Bringing an end to Atari's gaming business. It's weird. In 1998, a toys company acquired Hasbro assets. The Infogrames renamed itself and is now known as "2021." Super Atari. It's always so funny that like a series of this stuff is funny because this is all like everything from here is like promotion for current products.
I feel the best Atari games ever made have been made in the last 5 years. Like, I think the homebrew scene is incredible. People have figured out, and it's unfair to compare because the original people had like 5 weeks to make, ET or whatever. And now people can take, it's like a hobby. You can take as long as you want. And you have access to like special chips and stuff. But still, they're still working. Eventually, making carts that you plug into your original Atari 2600 and they run and they're super fun.
We saw it evolving, and there was a lot of nostalgia involved for that to happen. We loved this particular game
We
system.
already showed you the history.
And
Here's
it's a great intellectual challenge.
In 2009, I was given a talk in Philadelphia just talking about the game business and my experience there. And after the talk, somebody came up to me and they said, "Hey, I just saw this cool book just came out called Racing the Beam. And it's about programming the 2600. And since you mentioned that you worked on the 800, I thought you might be interested in this book." And I'm like, it does sound really interesting.
Back in the old days when I had my Atari 800, I did learn 6502 assembly language, and so I've been messing around and making some of my own Atari games. I'm not ready to make Psychonauts on the Atari yet, but someday I'm going to make Psychonauts on the Atari 2600. Not announcing that yet, but don't tell anyone. But
What is the point of going back to work on one of these old machines anyway? I mean, to me, the point is I wanna know what it was like to be, Todd Fryer, and who was, told he has 3 months to write Pac-Man on this terrible machine. And am I a man enough, programmer to be able to do that?
Pac-Man was actually technically quite solid.
it's fun to program for the 2600 because it's unique. It's 128 bytes, not K, but like bytes of memory. Like
when are you gonna release your 2600
games? It helps you edit, and so you can't do everything. You can't imagine an experience.
Make a collection.
And then implement it on the Atari. You have to go the other way around. Like,
Microsoft
how many blocks can I move on the screen? Like, how can I turn that into a fun game?
It was very, very hard to squeeze a 128 level game with a title screen and a boss encounter and all that into 4K of ROM, because that's one of the limitations on the 2600 if you're going to live within the original constraints. And so I learned a ton about the 2600 along the way. I had a lot of fun. It was a lot of hard work, and I'm proud of the way it turned out.
I think of the homebrew as the hobbyist who wants to see if he can do it, and he makes a game and he makes a few for friends. That has evolved into some actual publishers making Atari 2600 games that are out there.
But there was a guy came on there the other day and he's like, I just want to say this is the most supportive technical community I have ever been part of. So it is an amazing community and very welcoming to new people. So I would encourage people to do that.
Atari rights are such a weird freaking thing. No clips. Wait, the stacks for Ready Player One? I don't know if I really want to watch Atari's legacy inspiring.
No console in the beginning. There was
Let's see. Yep.
Atari, good. And
I like how the
games for
the Ghostbusters logo is censored, but I can still see Back to the Future.
Howard's game and Warren's game, those were huge moments for me in my childhood, and my favorite early gaming experiences, especially finding that room in Adventure. That path that whoever found the Easter egg, follows those clues, and then discovers this, this secret room, this message hidden by the creator of the game, who I didn't even know who he was, and here's his name, and a whole secret room, that most kids who play this game never found. I found this secret place left by the creator, with a message for me. It was profound, and the first time that it ever happened in a video game. And so years later, when I was, I think had the initial idea for Ready Player One, was what if Willy Wonka had been a video game designer? And what if he held his golden ticket contest inside a video game? And that immediately made me think of the secret room at Adventure and how that could be.
What if
he finds his worthy successor, instead of a tour through the factory where he slowly kills off all the children. It could be an Easter egg hunt video game. Those Easter eggs, I hadn't grown playing those.
There's just so much familiarity in there. It felt like, as I was reading it, that some of the names, some of the references were appreciating. My blew up on Ready Player. There's things I meet before communicate.
Spoke to him that said, hey, book really, in the middle of how do a, or in the novel, I wanted to do a, with three, at the end of it, I took a game as the first chase in.
What made the book for me found the twins in there, because twins are called platform even appear correctly, and games are kind of like primitive way of code, so for a way of passing.
Stacks, you describe off, stacked to avoid its game, but
and so with trying, this kind of came mainly, it was the perfect hacks, understand twins
Why
over the years.
I sent a 20-paragraph description of this game, but I sent it to Mike, and he's like, "Oh hell yeah!"
The years with it made, so when this was final, once it started completely mastered the master, and then I fired Wilson RC. I did in a few weeks. We're also giving ET get this game out the door, so we were reliving development I savored every
contest. We had the first time stacks I could find with it. I had ran one of the best of stacks, pretty deep game. It's always it was so neat. 70s consoles, John McBehemoth,
I'm making this video good.
When we started, video games were almost considered to be a bastardization of this wonderful technology. Why are you using it for fun when you could be creating missiles? I think we stood for innovation, and also we were the genesis story of the video game, which is kind of important. So I think you always
For a second,
have a
Whoopi,
hallowed
I thought you were
position.
going to say Jay can suggest Ready Player One for the podcast,
the
which
Fuji logo, I wanted to be an upward swoosh. And I think that if you look at the Atari logo, it's a collective, it's aspirational.
Yeah.
Just in the nature of the graphic.
I mean, it's one of those things where I'm like,
I lifted it.
I don't trust any CEO.
It's a game word.
Especially a Nepo baby. However, if he just lets Atari just do their shit like they have been
I was talking to a
doing.
Japanese guy one time, and he says, very good name, Atari. Perhaps a bit boastful for Japanese.
You're like, spot on for Americans.
Spot on for Americans.
Yeah.
One of the ethos of Atari was work hard, play hard. So we always had games, not just Atari games, but foosball and pool tables in the snack rooms and what have you. What that said was, we don't care when you come to work.
I hope he came in here
Get
with
your
like a
job done,
Chuck
we're
E.
okay, we're all
Cheese
adults
shirt.
And we don't care how you come to work. You want to wear tennis shorts and blue jeans? Do you want to wear a tuxedo? We don't care. We had one guy that liked to wear ball gowns, but that's another story. I could tell some stories, though, about how I used to mess with the people who copied me.
Oh, please. Oh, I'd love to hear that.
Okay. Atari started by building games that you could do in a garage shop.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so anybody that had a garage shop could copy us. And so of the 150,000 estimated Pong-type games that were created, Atari only shipped 30,000 of them. So we got less than a fifth of our market.
Right.
You know? And so as we innovated, people would start copying us. And I thought, I'm going to get them. So I had our semiconductor suppliers. We were a kind of a big deal in the semiconductor industry because they were selling a lot to the military and that sort of thing, but they'd sell 20 or 100 chips. We were buying thousands.
Right.
And so I had them mismark the chips. So that we had...
That you guys were using.
That we were using.
So if somebody tried to reverse engineer it.
So
wow.
if they reversed engineer it and just bought off the shelf those same numbers, they'd populate the board and they wouldn't work.
Did you ever hear of anybody doing that?
Oh yeah. We in fact,
brilliant.
We had one company that basically declared bankruptcy because they had a whole floor full of machines that they worked because they were hurrying to do it.
Oh man.
And we had the temerity to have a champagne party on their front lawn. We celebrated their demise and invited them, of course.
Did they show up?
No.
Yeah, I don't buy the I love
What
the
do you think
80s, but
Atari's role is,
considering they
not just in
have
video games,
Digital
but in
Eclipse
popular
and
culture
like
today.
Night Dive,
Well, I
who
think that Atari
are like two of
an
my
unassailable
favorite
role
companies in
as being
terms
the
of
Genesis
like
story.
just
I believe that it
bringing back, and obviously
understood
Digital
by a
Eclipse is
lot
like the
that
standard, like the highest standard of re-release of
30 of those
games
years,
normally get.
It was kind of in hands that were not kind to it. Don't say anything bad. So I think that pieces of the brand were damaged. Not irrevocably, but it could have been husbanded better. And so right now, I think that it would be good to take the innovation legacy and push it forward into the future.
Here's the next 50 years. But guess what? I have 2 DLCs. The original influencer The arcade Atari defined an interactive table for billiards people. Over the years, the company's not only did Atari match, but the company also maintained machines at locations. Breakout.
Breakout was really early. Yeah, it's a ball and paddle game, right? And it was a brilliant idea for Nolan to do that. I mean, he had a lot of ideas, and he was the guy that went around me and corralled Jobs into designing this, not knowing that Jobs wasn't an engineer and couldn't do that. And Jobs wasn't about to tell him, but his buddy was, who was just the sweetest, brightest savant. And I come in and Steve Jobs says, hey, look at this. And here is a finished game, Breakout, that was not under development. Understand, typical games took a few months to develop. It was like, it got dropped in from outer space, finished game, working prototype. What? And Jobs says, yeah, he claimed he designed it. And I go, oh, no, he didn't, bullshit. And I found out later that because Woz was coming in at night, he's working at HP, and he liked HP, but Atari was a lot more fun. So I go in and there's a finished game. And I'm going, what the f? This is crazy. You heard the story. I'll tell you my version because I've seen some different numbers, but as I understand it, Nolan said he would give Jobs a bonus of $1,000 a chip for every chip less than 50 that he was able to do this with. Now, knowing that this had more objects and stuff than Pong did, and Pong was 76 chips, it's a pretty safe bet that Nolan's not gonna have to pay a penny for this, right? Again, Woz is one of the most gifted, brilliant men engineering. Woz designs it with like 24 chips. Now, Nolan didn't say you had to be able to buy the chips. So some of the chips were chips out of Hewlett-Packard that you couldn't get. But there was a prototype of the working game. And you look at a schematic and I couldn't understand, how would this thing work?
That's funny that the game was like... out. Visual storytelling. Naval destroyer players use a dial to adjust. This similar to Cannonballer with ship speed or death control. Oh, this is cute. Yeah, I don't... Oh, I see how this works. Oh, yeah. I can imagine that'll... This is a neat game. I mean, it's very simple. Obviously. Oh man. Like, you have... Like, their graphic design and art, pretty good. There's the Dep and Dial. Also, that's my girlfriend saying when's Breakout, right? Because that doesn't sound like Eevee. See through Astro Boy. Nice. Superbug. Oh, well, I think Breakout is in the other part of the collection, though. We've already done Breakout. Superbug. Before creating Fire Truck, Wendy Allen made a single-player called Superbug. Well, the graphics... This is another monochrome for bug. Oh god. Well, that's Superbug. Look at this guy. Superbug. Skydiver players attempt to land safely in the drop zone. Big points. For extra agility, the cabin's joystick was shaped like the handles of a parachute rifle. Oh, that's weird. Oh, I see. Skydiver. Lighting Skydiver spells out awards. Oh, okay, so this is a different, totally different. Geronimo. Avalanche. Players catch rocks that fall from the top of the team. As speed increases, rocks become smaller. Inspiration for game Kaboom. This like rumbling is low-key kind of scary. Oh, the rocks. Mail order. This looks like you're buying like printer ink. Faster than my arcade game was. Yeah, because it is a cassette, so... Look how many he has. He has... Man, money up a tree. Sorry, football. X and O. I already don't know how to play football. Football. Found that track for us where air costs. Benjamin said, well, it's too expensive, forget it, we'll use a joystick. So Jerry came up with a trackball that we know and love. It was still more expensive joysticks and there was still some griping, but my griping was no, the game is not worth doing it if you don't do it with a trackball. It's gotta have the trackball. Vector graphics.
Vectors are amazing things, right? Like the fact that vector graphics were phenomenal and they continue to hold up really well. So I think when we look at Tempest or Tempest 2000 or Tempest 4000, I feel like those games of all of the games, those old games have aged the best. Not Tempest specifically, but the vector-based games, and Tempest just being a really incredibly strong example of a vector-based game because it still looks beautiful.
Aesthetically, I just think Tempest is a timeless game. Asteroids is a timeless game.
The old CRTs, the cathode ray tubes, had a beam that would go across the screen very fast, and it would draw the line. So you drew that always.
I will admit, like,
so
if
that was always being drawn, and you could turn on and off the beam or
a vector graphics game in real life does look really nice.
Vector, you actually draw the lines. So there is no raster going on. The beam isn't doing this down the screen. If you want to draw a red line that goes like that, you put the beam there and you push it across the screen to there. So you are actually doing an Etch-a-Sketch is the best way to think about it.
One of the interesting limitations and why it's so good for space games on Vector is if you don't draw something, the screen is black. It's not kind of sort of gray, it's black.
If the hardware stopped in a coin-op game, the last picture would stay there. If hardware stops in a vector generator, it goes black because you have to draw it. You're drawing the beams. There's no raster. There's nothing automatic in that. And I like that as well. That meant I could draw something and I didn't have to worry about it again. If I wanted to move it, I just redrew it over here. Before, you have to erase it from that space and rewrite it over here. Nah, didn't like that. Too much work.
The limitation isn't how many dots you have, it's how many inches of light you have. And a lot of people really love that white on black look.
You could get these really fine details for the time. I mean, if you go back and look at it now, it's not as high res as you think it is, but the ships and the shots and the way it looked, and you could adjust the brightness on an individual item, you know, that bright shot in Asteroids, for example, and that goes across the screen. There's nothing like that. It's just an amazing look, and I wanted to work on it.
We started with black and white. I worked a little bit on Battlezone when I worked on the simulator, which was after Battlezone came out, but if you remember Battlezone, it was green. Those weren't green lines, that was a green template that was over the top that made it green.
I got color when I did Space Duel, which I took over from another programmer who, for some reason, just kind of lost it and left the company and kind of evolved it from what he had started. I wanted more time to work on it, and another programmer was working on Asteroids Deluxe, and I was doing color asteroids. That's what I was doing with it. That's what Space Duel originally started as color asteroids. And they said, oh, you know, we're not going to do that because Asteroids Deluxe just came out. So they gave the hardware and some of the code I did to Dave Toyer, and he did Tempest. And then some of that came back, and I did Space Duel. So you'll see things that are similar that cross through it.
So Vector Sector was born out of the idea of what if all of Atari's vector games existed in the same universe? And we went from there. It was great to talk to Owen Rubin, who created Major Havoc, Space Duel. And when he played Vector Sector, he got through the asteroids phase and he got to Lunar Lander, and he was like, oh, you should do this with linked ships. And he didn't know that we'd done that. So that was like a thrill. Also, when we got to the end of the game, we played a linked dual multiplayer game.
This game is fun co-op.
He was having a conversation with me. He glanced up and he saw that we had his initials in the high scores as a default high score. And he just threw out a, oh, thanks. Yeah, thought that was cool.
Golden Asteroids, the mouse. One second. Oh, currently resides in Netherrealm. The Golden Asteroid. Check out the Red Baron. Look how neat this is. The lines at the bottom to pretend like you have a plane. I don't know, something about vector graphics is just... it's just neat. questions to the mount. Oh man, look at that. That's a full case. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing when, you know. A computer monitor will never replicate the vector.
Sort of forbidden to consort with the enemy.
First off, we had a vibrant coin-op business that was making money and keeping us in business, and consumer wasn't making anything. I didn't want to screw with that. I did not want to damage that.
There was a door that said, don't even think about entering here. And I was like, I work for this company. I opened the door and walked in, and Al turned around and goes, what are you doing in here? Who the hell are you? Why are you here? And so I said, well, I work for this company. What are you guys doing?
Oh, and found out how to open the door between the two places. And what's this? And I'm going, what the hell are you doing? Anyway, we became friends.
I was one of the few people in CoinOp that spent a lot of time in the consumer group, sort of going back and forth.
I believe that Al Alcorn was sincerely concerned that CoinOp would be a distraction on his group, which we're doing a very ambitious project on a very tight schedule.
Other companies like Bally all of a sudden took some of their engineers in CoinOp, and first off, I didn't think these were the right kind of engineers to do consumer. It's a different cost accounting, a different culture. Number two, I didn't want to screw with CoinOp's success.
The arcade games were pretty much in one area, and the consumer people were in another area.
Engineering was upstairs for consumer products. We were downstairs, and I only knew a few of them, you know, and it was because we water skied together.
There really was two separate companies, it felt like at a time. They had very different development environment. There was no synergy between the two really, other than that we shared games.
I have been known to joke that the point of coin-op games is primarily selling players their own adrenaline. So you want an intense, fast-pitch game, and you'll blame yourself if it's over in 3 minutes, not the game. A person who pays 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks for a cartridge wants to milk that thing. So the games themselves are different.
Every machine is state of the art. It's all new, fresh, challenging stuff, and it's exciting, and it's real design.
CoinOp gets to use more expensive hardware. They get to use tons and tons of hardware, and they get to refresh their hardware all the time, right? So what's happening is the Atari 2600 chip, the 6502, is a chip you could make in '76. Now Moore's Law is cruising along, doubling computer power every 3 years. But we're using a chip from '76.
Every couple of years, a new console would come out. And Atari just had to live with the old technology, but fortunately with programmers figuring out new ways to use it.
But for me, there was no rivalry. It was, they made games and they were interesting ideas, and a lot of them we were going to have to try and copy.
What happened though was as the VCS really started to make distribution, and really started to get out there, and some games really started to catch on, it became apparent that the profit potential from the home games was actually much higher than it was in CoinOp. So I'll tell you another pecking order sign that goes on, which raises a lot of interesting things, both financially and emotionally, is the idea of royalties. Because one of the big difference between VCS and CoinOp was CoinOp people got royalties. They got some kind of bonus participation in the success of their games, which VCS people didn't. That got to be a sore point. Not between CoinOp and engineering, but between VCS and management. And it's like, why aren't we doing that?
Atari had a bonus plan that was based on how your game sold. And then the consumer group wanted their own bonus plan based on how their game sold. So they would take a game designed by the coin op that was in the arcade. They'd make a 2600 cartridge out of it. It would do really well. They get big bonuses, and we weren't included at all. So there was this kind of like, wait a minute, why are they taking our ideas and we're not included? That was resolved later.
Everybody, you know, identifies as the hero of their own narrative. You know, when you start checking the narratives against each other, that's when you find some interesting differences. And it wasn't, I never felt that coin-op people lorded over us, and I don't think we felt like second-class citizens, but it was well known that coin-op was working on hotter technology, doing cooler stuff, and we were trying to keep up with a technology that was falling farther and farther and farther behind. That's just the reality of it.
They both needed each other, and that's the way most of us looked at it. It was a collaboration, not a competition.
Sears has everything. The annual Sears Wish Book catalog came with Atari's premier old home Pong. People chase. Hi-ho, silver. Away. Oh. Yeah, I can see a rare text. Holy shit. X-Space game. Submarine Commander. The last Sears exclusive. Welcome to the... That's so weird. It's weird to think nowadays that a retailer would just have an exclusive video game. Oh, okay. This kind of reminds me of Venetian blinds. Look at that guy. He's giving the thumbs up. Oh, jeez. Interesting.
My name is Evelyn Cito. I was a graphic designer at Atari, both in the coin-operated division and the consumer division. I majored in graphic design when I was in college, and when I finished, I went back to LA and helped in my family's business, which was a restaurant business. And when I returned, a friend of mine was working at Opera in Harrington, and she was moving on to another position. And so she had me interview with George Opperman, and I was able to come on board on his staff as a production artist. During that time, which is when I started with George, it was the early 70s, and Silicon Valley was just barely a term that was barely coming up. Nolan Bushnell had his company Syzygy, a gaming company, and he needed to change the name of the company. George Farraco, one of his colleagues, suggested that he speak to George Opperman. So I remember them coming in, and George he took on the assignment of redesigning the logo for Syzygy. And they gave him the name Atari. And so, I remember George doodling on his desk. Yeah, he was just doing little doodles, and from there, he maybe selected a few of them to show Nolan, and they picked the one that they did, which is the one with the Fuji and the Atari. And back then, everything was done by hand. There was no computers. Everything was you had to ink, and you had to spec type and order type, and then paste it all up on a board. So yeah, everything was kind of handcrafted back then. And so yeah, that was my first position, was with George doing production art. And so once they decided on which one they were going to do, I got the assignment of ordering the type and inking the Fuji. So that was my first jobs in working with Atari, was to ink that Fuji. Nolan liked names that started with A's because they were at the front of the alphabet. And because also at the time Pong was our main product, the main product. Now George says he liked the idea of it sweeping because the Pong blip would sweep, right? So that's George's. There are people who attribute that to George. George Farraco doesn't believe that was true. But so I honestly don't know where it came from, because obviously he didn't tell me. He just said, here, ink this up. So part of it is probably an A, and part of it is the sweep. It's probably all of that could be true. So whatever it was, it's definitely stood the test of time. And he picked the hairy type font for the Atari, and I think that's actually stood the test of time as well. Shortly after that, I left George, so that was like in '71, and I left in '72, and so George probably continued working with Atari at the time. I had moved on to another company, and in 1976, George called me and asked me, told me he was giving up his company, and he was going to go inside at Atari and become their full-time art director. And he needed an assistant, and asked me if I would be interested in doing that. I kind of thought of it as a placeholder, actually. I wasn't sure how long I would do this, and not being that familiar with the company. But anyway, I said, okay, So we were in this little cubby hole. Our two desks were facing each other. And basically we had a drawing board each, and George was doing all the graphics and all the advertising and whatever that was required. George himself was an illustrator as well as a designer, as well as a marketing guy, as well as a copywriter. So he would write all the copy, and he would write all the promotional materials for Atari. So he was an in-house advertising agency. Because I wasn't an illustrator, so the things that didn't require illustration, he would, I would work on some of those, or I would collaborate with one of the illustrators. I might come up with a concept, and then one of the illustrators would design the graphic for me, like in Superbug or in Golf. Bob Flamani was the artist on those particular pieces, and so, but the concept of how it looked, the general concept might be mine, but I would basically, have the illustrator do it, which is not unusual because a lot of graphic designers are not illustrators. I worked on Superbug, I worked on Fire Truck, which was a two-man game. And see, because those graphics I could deal with, they weren't, it didn't require me to illustrate a person or an animal, so I could do graphic things, but I wasn't able to do illustrations. And I did do football, and or the soccer game that was created from that. And then when Atari got into pinball, I worked on a concept for the Wonder Woman pinball game. And that didn't require me to be such an conceptual illustrator because I already had reference material to work with in terms of the comic series. And so eventually we grew to a staff of about eight people. And we had a production artist, but George was still doing all the advertising and the brochures and all the marketing materials for any of the games that came up. And so eventually the company grew, and I stayed there for a couple of years, and ultimately decided that I had an opportunity to go. In 1977, Atari was already working on the consumer video game system. And I had heard about it, but didn't know a whole lot about it. I got asked if I would like to join the consumer group. And so I went ahead and did that. And that's where I felt at home, because then I can focus on graphic design more than illustration. That was a great opportunity for me to really focus on branding. They were starting to introduce some other game systems. And so they wanted to figure out how to market it. And we wanted to take a look at what kind of packaging design do we want to go with, because at the time the VCS system was a black background with little vignettes of game players and parents and screen grabs of some of the video games. And so we decided to take a look at what we could do with it. The video computer system was sort of a generic name, and so we decided to maybe focus on blowing up the name Atari. So we made some mock-ups to do that. Basically, on a product shelf, you got 3 seconds to grab somebody's attention. We banded the box with Atari with the number of the game system, and we created some packaging and took it to a store to see how it would stand up next to the competition. And at the time, Odyssey was out, Magnavox, Coleco, there were other game systems out there, and they were similar in design to what we had already created. So we took it to a store and took some photographs, and with the other competition in the background, it was clear that the Atari, branding big was the way to go. It's like, hello, why didn't we think of that sooner? But obviously somebody didn't think of it before we did. And then at the same time, I think Star Wars came out, and so we thought, well, gee, the space age was coming about, and so maybe we should look at, maybe color isn't the way to go. So they wanted to see what else we could do to make it look more space agey. So we came up with the silver concept of the packaging, and ultimately that's the way we went. At the time, our cartridge boxes were all real colorful and rainbow. The rainbow stripes seemed to be sophisticated enough and give it some color. And so from that, I thought it went underneath the silver band on all the boxes, so it seemed to work for that. And I think that was sort of a nod to the fact that, okay, we still have, the rainbow was sort of a nod to all the color boxes. The Fuji's always stayed there, and I think the typefaces always stay there. Although some people have played around with the typeface a little bit, but you can't change it. It's a classic.
Interesting. was a neat, the concepts. Voice command. I like this guy. Well, another little chunk of the Atari Safari.